Welcome. Hi, everybody. How you doing? Put in the chat how you are, who you are. So glad that you're here. Thank you for joining us. You can put in the chat whatever you like, where you work, what you do, your title, the organization that you're representing today, where you're located. I'd love to know that. I am in sunny, beautiful Los Angeles, so I feel spoiled by the weather, but I love it so much. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome. New Orleans. Right on. I'm originally from Houston, so not far. Madison, Wisconsin. Hi, Emily. Yes, chilly and sleepy. Oh, boy. Well, if you grab a blanket, I will not judge you. So you just do you. Yes. Hi, Alana. Greensboro, North Carolina. KC. Free wheelchair mission. Hi, Nikki. So great to have you. Maylot. Hi. Oh, it's so good to see so many of you. Hi, Liz. Hi, Monica. So good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Oh, what a fabulous crew we have here today. So I am going to just get started and probably more people will join, and that's all good. But y'all are here and on time, so I am going to honor that. So you ready? Let me share my screen with you. Here we go. Oh no, I don't want the whiteboard. Sorry. Can you see that? How are we doing? Are we doing good with the tech? It's not my strong suit, so okay. I am so grateful that you are here. Thank you for joining. And you are here at the Pitch Clinic with me, Julie Ordonez. And maybe some of you are sort of new to being in my little community of people who are building courage. And so I'm going to introduce myself to you. So who the heck am I and where do I get off telling you about how to come up with a pitch? Well, I'm Julie. I'm a challenger. I'm a fundraiser. I love to take risks. And my mission is to help ambitious nonprofit leaders build the courage to ask for more and raise major gifts. That's why I'm here. I used to be a frontline fundraiser. I started out as a one-person development shop. Is anyone here currently in that role of, yes, Emily, I see your hand. Welcome, Angela, and everyone who just joined. Carrie, so glad to have you. Thank you for being here. And I became a major gifts officer and at United Way of Greater Los Angeles, and I did really well there. And I loved that job. I loved it so much. I had an incredible boss. I got to work with people like Maylot, actually, who's here and who's also a pro in major gifts. So glad that you're here. And then I became a development director for a national anti-poverty organization, and I oversaw the fundraising for the Los Angeles chapter, which was the largest in the nation. Anybody here work for a national organization with local chapters or regions? Anybody? I know Liz does. And so I did that job and I raised a lot of money, and I left that job and I didn't have anything lined up for the first time in my career. I don't know if you've ever done that, but I did that and I didn't know what I was going to do next. And I had a friend who was running a nonprofit and was like, hey, we really need to raise a lot of money, like millions. And we need your help. Would you be willing to help us figure out how to do this and teach us how to do it? And I was like, sure. Okay. So I did that, and they raised $5 million in less than 2 months, or 90 days. So a little over 2 months. And it was a huge success. And they raised, tons of 5-figure gifts, but like a few handfuls of 6-figure, and then a couple 7-figure gifts. And it was huge. It was amazing. And I really enjoyed that. And so now that is what I do. I teach people how to raise money, specifically major gifts from individuals. That's my wheelhouse. That's what I do. That's what I love. I could talk about it all day. And it doesn't mean that I've never been afraid to ask for money. I definitely have. And there are still amounts that kind of terrify me, if I'm honest. And so that's me. That's what I do. But I want to learn a little bit about each of you. So tell me in the chat, if you could, what is a challenge that you're facing right now when it comes to crafting your pitch? So even if that's for you, maybe a major gift is $1,000 or $2,500, maybe a major gift is $10,000. It's usually dependent upon the budget of your organization and what you consider a major gift. So go ahead and write in the chat. What is a challenge that you're facing when you're coming up with a pitch? Asking for the right amount. That's great. Yeah, for sure. Liz says fitting it all in. The how, the why, showing gratitude without it being so long. Yeah, right. Knowing when the right time is, that's really good, Emily. Absolutely. Timing is almost everything. Gosh. It seems like you can have the most amazing, beautiful pitch, but if it comes at the wrong time, then it's not going to yield you much, right? I've definitely been there. Yeah, Monica says, knowing how much to ask from first-time donors. Yeah, that's good. Timing. Yep, a lot of timing. Right. Carrie says, we are starting a big building project. Woohoo! But don't have permits and have been waiting forever to start. Yeah, I would recommend just go ahead and asking people and getting pledges in writing and getting all of those gifts in early, building a lot of momentum. Nikki, how to ask for the gift without it feeling cold, and that's the only reason for talking. Yeah, Nikki, right on. Yeah, that's great. So a lot of this we're going to touch on today. It's like I almost knew what your challenges would be because I've been there. I'm still there now. So here's what we're going to cover. Today, we're going to go over the 3 biggest mistakes that I see in major gift pitches. Even if you fixed one of these, even if you made one of these changes, you will raise more money. If you do all 3, it's just a 1-2 knockout punch. Okay. Then I'm going to go through 2 real life pitches. And one of them, someone who submitted their pitch, you're here today, so you'll see theirs. And thank you to everybody who submitted a pitch. They're really good. So we'll walk through 2 pitches and then what I liked about them, what I thought was strong, and then my rewrite. And what I rewrite, I encourage you to use. Copy and paste it. Okay, this isn't copyrighted. So I'm here to help you. Okay, and I want you to have practical tools so you can raise more money. And then the opportunity to learn more about and join my group coaching program, which is called CourageLab. Woohoo! And I have a special bonus for you, which I told you I would share. And then we'll do a Q&A. So that's it. That's what we're going to do. You ready to jump in? You're with me. I can feel it through the Zoom. And thank you for doing another Zoom meeting. I really appreciate that. because we're all Zooming. So the three biggest mistakes that I see in a major gifts pitch, and I encourage you to take notes. You're going to get the recording for this, but I find that when I take notes, it just sinks in better, right? Is that the same for you? It is for me. First is, it's just too damn professional. Okay. It's not human. And I understand we have branding guidelines and ways in which you talk about your work, right? And oftentimes it can be hard to eliminate a lot of the jargon of sounding like a subject matter expert in what you do. But your donor usually isn't. And so sometimes when you do this, it can kind of sound like a robot who's an expert wrote it rather than like a human being with a personality. So something that I try to do when I'm writing my pitches is to really imagine who I'm writing to and, think about, what do I want them to feel? How do I want to connect with them? And what do I want them to know? And what do I want them to do? So feel, know, and do. And write in such a way that you're writing to a human being, you're writing to a person, and you're imagining what it is that they might be thinking or going through. Obviously, this helps if you know the person, right? If you have a personal relationship. If you don't, think of a donor who you really love, frankly, and think of them and write to them. And it will come across more personal. Use your personality. You don't need to get approval from whoever in order to raise more money in the way that is going to allow you to do it successfully. Does that make sense? If you write a letter and it goes against your branding guidelines and it actually raises more money, but it's written in your voice, I don't really think that you're going to have much pushback on that. That's what I've found, is to really write like you're writing. Does that make sense? What do you think about that? Write in the chat. Yes, this is something I need to work on. I've got this down. This is something that I already do well. What would you say? And I've found fundraisers, right, are usually also donors, right? Aren't you? I am. And so I also get a lot of pitches in my email, in my inbox. And I'm like, this is not written to me. Why? This isn't personal. It doesn't matter if I give to these people. They're asking 5,000 people this same pitch, right? I'm less likely to do it because why me? People want to know why me. The second mistake that I see is there's no story of life change. And really, when people donate to an organization, they're giving so that they can change lives. They can change the world in some way, right? If there's no story, this is what I think it ends up sounding like. We talk about the need, but we don't talk about people. So this could sound like, this is the number of people that we're going to serve in order, once we raise our goal of $500,000. And there's no mention of any human being's name or story of life change or something that really humanizes it, right? Again, you can kind of see the through line here. I'm talking about making it personal. Yeah. And it's great to talk about the need. I'm not saying don't talk about the need. I'm saying you can mention the need and the scale of it, right? Or the depth of it. So maybe your goal is not to serve more people, but to improve the quality of your program for the people you already serve. That's great. But you always want to include some kind of story, because it's emotional. It humanizes the work that you do. And that will more likely connect with the person who's reading it. Yeah, people want to know why me. Thank you, Kara, for capturing that. And then the third is, there's no clear ask. Oh, this one gets me. Oh, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, Anna. Because if you just say, I hope we can count on you for your support. I hope we can count on your support, or I hope that you will consider making a gift, or things like this that are really generic and vague. Here's why this isn't good, okay? Because you're giving your donor homework. Now, even if you put the amount that they gave last year or that they gave 6 months ago, you're saying to them, now I need you to do the math and figure out whatever it is that you're going to end up giving, whether that's you're going to go to your spouse or your partner or your accountant or your business manager or your financial advisor or whoever, or you just got to have a talk with yourself and, God, whoever it is, right? And you've got to figure out from nothing, what amount am I going to give? Okay, well, if I gave $1,000 last year, what should I do this year? And then that becomes another barrier. You see, now they not only have to go on your website or go to their checkbook or go to their advisor and say, hey, can you transfer these funds? Now they have an extra to-do item, which is to say, okay, now I need to figure out how much I'm going to give. So that's 2 to-do items rather than just 1. Make it easier and say, hey, last year you gave $1,000. Would you consider doubling your gift this year and giving $2,000? You can give this in a couple of ways. You can do this as a one-time gift online. Here's the link. Or break it up for them. Hey, you could give quarterly $2,000. That's $500 each quarter. You could give monthly and break it out for them and put that in the pitch, right? Spell it out for them. Do the work for them. You're going to get a yes. They're like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And you know what? I'll do it monthly. It may not have even occurred to them that is an option, right? If that's something you want. If you want a one-time gift, then ask for a one-time gift. But make a clear ask. And especially with major gifts, it's a negotiation. So if you're hoping that they will give $1,000 again or $1,500, sometimes maybe you need to ask for more than that. And they'll say, okay, well, I'll meet you halfway. I'll give you $1,500. Or they might give the whole $2,000, because it stands to reason. If someone can give you $1,000 one-time gift, they could probably give you $2,000. Yes? What do we think? If someone can give you $8,000, they can give you 10. I'm just telling you right now. If they give you $7,000, they could give you 10. Yes, I've seen this happen often. Maylot says, I agree. Yeah, right on. So yes, does it require more work to put in a clear ask, a number in your pitch? Yes, it does. But are you going to save time on the back end? Because now you don't have to follow up with them as much. You're going to cut back on the follow-up because you've made it less work for them to do, right? So now they just need to say, hey, I can totally give that. And then you got to follow up and just make sure that they do it, right? If you get a yes. Awesome. How are we feeling? Feeling good? Is this helpful? I hope this is helpful. Judy says she's good. I'm so glad. Right on. So then let's jump into the pitches, okay? And these are 2 pitches. And I'm going to go through, like I said, what I thought was great. And then I rewrote them completely. All right. And I hope that this is really useful to you. And if you have questions, feel free. So pitch number 1, here we go. Get ready. I'm ready. All right. I love this. I love it. I could rewrite pitches all day. I just have an endless amount of energy for it. I want people to raise more money. That's really, I want you to do it. Okay. So this first one says, a special ask of you this spring, Maud, right? That's a great subject line. Dear Maud, I hope you're having a good day. Along with the entire Jumpstart Local Advisory Board, I want to thank you for joining the Jumpstart family in 2019. We're so grateful for you and your generosity at our 2019 Spring Gala. Today, I would like to invite you to directly support young learners in a big way again this spring. As you know, the current inconsistent learning environment caused by COVID is having a devastating effect on children, particularly Black, Latinx, Indigenous, and children from low-income families. These are the children that Jumpstart serves. One study predicts that students of color stand to lose 11 to 12 months of learning by the end of the school year, compared to 4 to 8 months for white students. Yet, even in the midst of this crisis, children like George are still benefiting from Jumpstart. George began the school year nonverbal. However, Jumpstart's college student volunteers noticed that he would light up every time they brought out art supplies. Jumpstart volunteers made sure to incorporate art into more of their virtual literacy activities with George. Slowly, George began to recognize and say the names of the letters. With the consistency of Jumpstart sessions, George eventually learned to say and spell his name and even the names of the Jumpstart volunteers. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. I love that. So it's continued here. COVID has shown us that the need for high quality early learning, social justice, and education equity is more critical today than before the pandemic. Kids like George deserve access to the support that Jumpstart provides. You can ensure they get it. In 2019, you made an incredible first gift of $1,000. With the need greater than ever, would you kindly consider making a gift today to provide NYC kids with the tools they need to succeed during this extraordinary time? You are a hero to George. Thanks again. With gratitude, Liz. P.S. If you are inspired to make a gift online, please click here. If you have any questions on our current programs or your gift, I'm always so happy to chat live. Thank you. So, you still with me? I know that's a little bit long, but it's good, right? It's good to see this. It's good to see what other people are writing too, right? Is this helpful? So we know Maud, we know that he is a current donor, right? But he gave right here in 2019, $1,000. So he's what we would call a lapsed donor, right? He's somebody who hasn't given in a while. That's okay. I love it, Liz, that you're gonna say, hey, come back to us. So what I love about this is that you acknowledge previous giving. Great, so good. And that you're specific. It shows I know who you are, right? Personal. This isn't just to anybody. I would say if you're going to quote a study, I easily Googled it because it is word for word, it's a quote, right? So I would just say a study by McKinsey & Company. I would include that rather than saying one study. Just a quick note. It gives it a little more credibility rather than just saying one generic study, right? If you're going to quote it. The magic of this is the story of George. It shows you that Jumpstart works, right? But it also really puts you're connected to this child. Like, oh my gosh, yes, this is so beautiful. I want more children to have this experience of being nonverbal and then connecting and having fun and learning to read and to speak. That's incredible. I love that you use the PS. I think that's great. People read the PS. I think it's awesome that you offered, hey, I'm happy to chat with you live, right? If you have questions, I think that's golden. So here's my revised pitch. Maud, I'd like to tell you about a 4-year-old boy named George and how you have helped to change his life. Right from the start. and we don't need to say, I hope you're having a great day today. I hope you're well. You don't need to put that in there. I mean, you just get to the point, right? The reason I'm writing you, this is why I'm telling you about this little boy named George. It puts George front and center because that's why you're even writing him, because of George, because of children like George, right? So then I basically used sort of the same outline here of this story. He started the school nonverbal. Our student volunteers noticed that he would light up every time they brought out art supplies. They began to incorporate that. He said aloud the names of the letters he saw. Over time, George learned to say and spell his own name and even said the names of the Jumpstart volunteers. Isn't that incredible? Now I'm talking like Julie, you see? Because when I read that, Liz, when I read that story of George, I literally said out loud, that is incredible. You see, that is more human. It's like a human is talking to a human. It's going to get read. This letter is going to get read. And George, here we go. Here's the need, right? But it comes after this story of George is just one. And I know this because I went onto your website, Liz. I looked up the number. I mean, George is just one of 9,436 children that we served this together this past year, right? I use the word together. We did this together, Maud. At Jumpstart, we are committed to helping all children, especially Black, Latinx, Indigenous, and children from low-income families receive the individualized attention they need to start kindergarten prepared to succeed. Now, that's the mission statement pretty much, right? It includes who we serve and how we do it. What do we do, right? And then, I say, this also builds credibility. It's fine if you want to talk about COVID-19, right? We can acknowledge that. This is a pandemic. It's a crisis. Even during this crisis, we have helped children like George get the jumpstart they need. This is a way, again, to build credibility and trust. Even in this pandemic, we are seeing children and their lives change. You have helped make this possible. And we're not done. Our vision is a bold one. By 2025, we will impact as many children as we have in the first 25 years of Jumpstart. With your continued support, we plan to serve 120,000 children like George. So now I've gone from, the outline here is important. I've gone from telling you, capturing your attention right away. I want to tell you about a 4-year-old boy named George and how you have helped to change his life, right? And I'm not saying you changed his life. I'm saying you helped, because that's an honest thing to say. Then we tell the story of George. Then we talk about how the total impact. George is just one of over 9,000. Can you believe that? This is our mission. This is what we're committed to doing. Here's credibility. Here's where we're going. This is our vision. Our vision is big. It's a big vision. And then we mentioned the previous giving, right? In 2019, you generously gave $1,000. Here's the clear ask. Will you consider giving $2,000 this year? Now, I don't know, Maud. If I did, I do a little bit of research and I'd learn, do I think he could give $10,000? I would, even if he gave $1,000 before, right? If I've reached out, if I've been building the relationship again, this is not the first time that he's hearing from us, I'd probably ask for more. But right now, $2K, double, that's great. You can easily make your gift online here as a one-time gift or a monthly gift of $166. It's roughly $2K. It's maybe like a few dollars less. I'm also happy to take your information over the phone and submit the gift on your behalf. You can reach me directly at this wonderful fake number. Should you have any questions or need assistance, I'm grateful for your consideration. I plan to follow up with you within the next week over the phone. I look forward to speaking soon. With gratitude, Liz. P.S. If you'd like to learn more about our 2019-20 impact, check it out here. Thank you again, Maud. So something else to note in here is that I plan to follow up with you within the next week over the phone. You're letting them know you're going to get a call from me. And that's really when you close the gift. And on the phone, you can say, hey, Maud, I'm following up on my letter to you. Did you receive it? What did you think? What is your plan for your giving this year? You can just repeat the question again. Will you consider giving $2,000 this year? And then when you ask that question, you shut your mouth. If you ask somebody for an amount, don't say anything else. Just let it breathe. Ask the question, wait for them to respond. But really, major gifts are more likely to get closed over the phone. It's easy to say no to a gift over an email. It's harder to do it on the phone. It's just because it's relational. You're talking to a human. So what do you think? What do you think of this pitch? What do you like about it? What stands out to you? And thank you, Liz, for submitting this. Is really good already. It was honestly, it's a great ask. I'm just want to make it a little bit sharper. Oh, I'm so glad, Liz. Thank you. It feels so conversational in the ask. Thank you for the help. I'm blown away. I love it. Yes, please use this. I had fun writing it. So thank you. It was really great. It's fun for me to do. What can I say? I like to raise money and I like to change the world. You know what I'm saying? That's really what I'm all about. Okay, let's move the money. Let's change the world. That's what this is all about. It seems aggressive. Oh, yes. Well, what is aggressive to you about it? You got to get specific. Yeah, written letter versus email. I would just say whatever is, your donor's preference. If they have preferred to receive information from you via like snail mail, then great, keep that going, right? If they prefer to receive email, and if you don't know, then ask them. Send out a survey. How do you prefer to hear from us? But it's safe to say that if they open your emails, right, if your open rate, if they're included in that, then they like to get emails from you. I've never had anyone call me to ask for money. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. So with major gifts, it's a best practice to get on the phone and just talk with people and ask them to give. Absolutely. And ask people to their face to give. Yes. This pitch could be, altered to be a phone script. It could be definitely more conversational, less formal. But you could email Maud and ask for a phone call and say, hey, I'd like to share an opportunity with you to give again, to be involved with us again. I want to share with you the impact that you've had since you gave last. Hopefully that's not all this one conversation. Hopefully you're actually building authentic relationships with people. I think that's probably why it would feel aggressive, because if you're calling someone that you've never spoken to on the phone, then yeah, that's going to feel awkward. Hopefully you're able to build relationships with people, even if it's just online. Yeah. And again, this is, the people who raise the most money are not just asking for money, right? They're cultivating donors, which just means you're building a relationship before you ask for money. You're understanding why they want to give. You're understanding their motivation for giving. Yeah, these are great questions. Best tips for relationship building? Absolutely. Would you suggest making the ask first via email or phone? Again, it depends on the donor. You could look at it from a generational perspective. You really got to know them. If it's someone who's older and they're not really on email a lot, then you might want to pick up the phone. If it's somebody who, again, is reading the emails that you send, and you know that they read your newsletters or they follow you on social media, then you could send an email. Yeah, it depends on the donor and what they would prefer. And anybody else, if you have experience you want to share in the chat, go ahead. So we're moving on to pitch 2. You ready? We're zooming. So I'm not going to read this whole one. This is to Crystal. Hope you've been well. A project as the center of my world is a nonprofit I started, Yoga for Philly. Through our mission-focused volunteers, we help make yoga accessible in 6 geographical areas in the Philadelphia County, which includes hosting yoga classes for kids, seniors, and individuals impacted by drug abuse and sex trafficking. Our mission is to make peace, love, and healing accessible to everyone through yoga and meditation. In a short period of time, we've met our goals for all of 2021. Woohoo! And we are excited about the opportunities that lie ahead of us. Our new goal is to make yoga and meditation accessible in all of these places. And I hope we can count on your support. During the months of November and December, Yoga for Philly will be launching its first campaign to raise an additional $60K by 2021. Because Lululemon, I always say it wrong. Why is it complicated? It's a massive company. Is also committed to supporting mindfulness and wellness for everyone. I'm reaching out today to see if you would consider being our exclusive campaign partner. I've listed below what all that entails. And if you're interested, I'd love to have a conversation to talk through what that would look like. Sincerely, Stephen Bryce, President and CEO, Yoga for Philly. And then here are the details for the campaign partner. I'm not going to go through all of that, but he kind of lists out some benefits, right? So being recognized on promotional emails, being featured on our website as an exclusive campaign partner. It's great. So I loved that he said we met all of our goals so far, right? That's another way to build trust and to build credibility. People love to be on a winning team. And it's not to say that you can't mention challenges that you face, because I think that also makes it human and relatable, because everybody is facing challenges and you're not always going to exceed every goal. But when you do, you should shout it from the rooftops. Hey, we met our goals. It's great. The other thing that I would say about this is what's confusing, right, is that he's asking for support. We're hoping to raise $60K. And then he's asking for a conversation to talk through what being a campaign partner would look like. But then he lists all of these things that it will look like. So the point is here, there's multiple asks happening. And when you're on the receiving end of this, it's going to be more to navigate, right? There's more to figure out. What do I, as the receiver, as Crystal, right? Dear Crystal, what do I do next? To me, it's not clear. You got to spell it out, right? Just make it very simple. So this feels a little bit like we're asking for many, many things and it's not clear. So here's the revised pitch. And I know some of these things I added because I went onto the website and I just did some digging and I read Stephen's story. So it's very personal. Crystal, just a few years ago, I went through the darkest period in my life. What got me through was my yoga and meditation practice. That's why I started Yoga for Philly in 2019, to help our neighbors in greater Philadelphia, especially those personally affected by substance abuse, trauma, and human trafficking, get the peace, healing, and love they desperately need through yoga and meditation. Boom. Look at that. I've connected. As Stephen, as the writer here, this is my personal story, right? And he shares this again on the website. So, and this also combines the mission of Yoga for Philly. Then I decided to grab this testimonial here, which is the next paragraph. From a scale of 1 to 10, my anxiety is at a 7 every day. After consistently taking Yoga for Philly's yoga classes, my anxiety level is now at a 3. This has changed my life, and I am a more positive person. That's what Amanda had to say about her experience with us. So, really powerful testimonial. And then I talk about, in just 1 year, over 300 children have participated, children, school, senior adults, 300 individuals have taken our yoga classes, free yoga classes that are led by our volunteer teachers. We include this equipment in these 6 areas, including Kensington, where over 1,200 individuals die each year from substance overdose. We are committed to serving those who need healing most and responding to the increased demand for our programs. So that's something that he didn't mention, but again, I found was they've exceeded all their goals and people are requesting his program, which is awesome, right? He said that he needed 60K to get it done. I said 100K, because if you need 60, you probably need 100. Right? I mean, for real, though, it usually costs more than we think it does anyway. We would be honored to partner with Lululemon as we share a commitment to bring mindfulness and wellness to everyone, removing barriers to equity through yoga and meditation. That can also be found on Lululemon's website. Will your company consider donating $30,000 plus in-kind product donations for Kensington residents? Here's how you can write a check. I'd love to speak with you within the next week to discuss what a customized partnership could look like. And then I just briefly mentioned some of the things that he talked about. Feel free to contact me. I'm grateful for your consideration. Together, I'm confident we can bring wellness and greater peace to Philadelphia County. So I have a clear ask here. I picked that amount because I went on to Lululemon's website and I saw what they were giving elsewhere. They give a lot of money away and they give a lot of in-kind product donations. So I decided to ask for both because he probably needs both. And I also said, I put in I'm going to follow up with you, right? I said, I'd love to speak with you just to keep it kind of in the way that he was talking about it. But you could say, like I did with the previous pitch, expect a call from me within the next week. So what do you think about this? Yeah, Emily, I would ask them questions, right? When you get on the phone with your donor, you should have an outline a plan of what you're going to, what is the point of calling them? What is your purpose of calling, right? And have an objective. I want to learn this about them and I want to tell them this thing. And yeah, I wonder how the conversation is started or how you're framing it, that you're only learning what your donor doesn't like. Yeah, Liz says donor survey. Yeah. It is very clear. And look, listen to me. People, you need to stop assuming that people don't have money and that they don't want to give it. Okay. Lululemon has a lot of money and they actually have to give it away. So if you come to Lululemon for $5,000, I'm going to find a way to reach through this Zoom. Okay. You need to go to Lululemon and ask them for something significant. I put 30,000 thinking maybe they would give 20 or 25. I don't know. That would still be great for Stephen, right? Thank you, Angela. It is bold. It is bold. And that's how you're going to raise more money. Just be really clear. Be really clear. You might feel that it's aggressive, but it's actually kindness to be really clear, to be straight up. There's no game here. If they're on your mailing list and they've given to you before, this is not an intrusion, right? Hello. They know you're going to ask them. They know you're going to invite them. It's an invitation. They don't have to say yes, right? Choosing to see it as aggressive, that's a choice, right? And that's more about us and less about them. You don't know how they're going to see it. So tell me in the chat, what is your biggest takeaway from all of this? Biggest takeaway. What is it? What are you going to do differently as a result of going through this exercise? Yes, direct, bold, and clear. And you know what happens? It'll make your life easier if you're direct and clear. Be specific and remind them of their personal impact constantly. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, too general. Yeah, you're just not going to raise more money when you're general. You're just not. It doesn't make your life easier. You might feel more comfortable doing that, but that doesn't make your life easier in the end. It doesn't. It doesn't let you raise more money. You need to raise more money. Make it personal and involve them. Make a clear and simple ask. Yeah. Acknowledge previous giving. Yep. Plan to follow up. That's great. Yeah. Stories are crucial. So I love all these takeaways. So good. Don't be afraid to ask. You got to do it. You got to ask. Yeah, a lot of these are really good questions. I know I'm not answering all of them. We can do we're going to do more of a Q&A at the end too. Okay. So the status quo of not raising enough and burning out needs to be completely shattered. We need to raise way more than enough. Probably every single one of you needs a raise and a vacation. Can I get an amen? So you just gone through a pandemic and you're trying to raise more money and working like crazy. And so I am not about that. And it needs to change. And that's why I made CourageLab, because there is, even in some of your questions, right? If you're really, really honest, asking for money brings up a lot of fear. It brings up a lot of fear around rejection or around what people will think or coming across a certain way, coming across too aggressive, being someone who is impersonal or getting it wrong, insulting people, offending someone. All of these things come up, right, when we're asking. Put yes in the chat if you can relate to that. Any of these feelings that are coming up that make you want to shrink back or be vague or be unclear or kind of dance around, beat around the bush, and honestly, right, waste your time and waste the donor's time. They're like, okay, what do you need? Let's just get to it, right? Yes, 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 I know, Carrie. You're not alone. And this is not about judgment, okay? I don't want you to judge yourself and say, oh, I shouldn't be afraid. It's normal. However, the difference between the people who raise $1 million plus personally and those who don't is that they do it afraid anyway. And you end up raising more money because guess what? People want to give. They are generous. They do care. And if you ask them, if you invite them, invite, meaning they can turn it down. They're not obligated to do it. You're not twisting their arm. Then they will give. They will. And you got to remind them. Reminding them is a service. It's a way that you serve them because they intend to have an impact. So I created CourageLab because I found that working with people one-on-one wasn't enough support for them. You know, I'm great. It's great, right? But you need each other. And I hope that you've been able to learn from some of the people here, even in the chat, right? And learning from the pitches that you're reading, right? These are other leaders who are out here figuring it out, doing the best that they can. And you need a group of peers to learn from one another about the practical pieces of how do I do this? And now that I know how do I get the guts to do it, right? Some people, all they want to talk about is the strategy because it's easier to talk about that than about how we don't have the guts to implement the strategy. Do you hear me? Right? And if you're really, really, really honest, it comes down to courage. Raising more money comes down to courage. So that's why I made CourageLab. It is just as it sounds. It is a place for you to do things that you've been putting off, that you've been afraid to do, and to do it with my support, my accountability every single week, and with a group of peers who are incredible. And I want to tell you about a couple of them. So this is Stefan, and he is the founder. Him and his lovely wife are in the city of San Francisco, and they started Ripple Effect 22, which is a youth mentorship program, and it's awesome. And you can probably relate to him, right? He says, we struggled to raise money every single year, raise more each year, right? We all have to raise more every year. And he felt bad about asking people to give their hard-earned money. Can you relate to that? Right? Feels too aggressive. I heard you, Carrie. I get it. So he started to implement everything that we learn in CourageLab, and donations started coming in left and right without him even asking. He was astonished. Julie teaches you how to build a culture of generosity where people just start upping their donations, and one-time donors started giving monthly. This stuff really works. So that's Stefan. He is already an incredible leader. It's not like this was a magic bullet. It's just the support that he needed, the training, the strategy, the practical tools, you know, being connected to other leaders who were also doing this work, and my support, because, you know, I'm relentless. So I'm not going to let you shrink and be the less courageous version of yourself. So next up is Stephanie, also a phenomenal person, phenomenal leader. She said a lot of very sweet things. I'm not going to read this whole thing. You can go back and read it if you want, but it's really kind of awkward to read what people say about you, but yeah, she said, Julie is fantastic, the kind of light you want in your corner. That's really kind. And I think the biggest thing for her was that her and her team at Sahar had been working in overwhelm and doing a ton. How many of you feel like you and your team are just doing way too much? Type yes in the chat. Doing too much. We're doing all the things. And you're on the brink of like, how much longer can I do this? Stefan, you're here. Hi. I'm so happy to see you. He's amazing. Y'all should follow him and support Ripple Effect 22. And that's where Stephanie was, and Sahar. And I had actually been in relationship with them in sort of like a mentorship role for a couple of years before she joined CourageLab. And to really see them acknowledge, hey, we're doing too much, and that's why we're not able to raise more. And so that's what they did. They focused on doing less. And that helped them to raise more money, which I love. And then last, but definitely not least, Monica, who is here today. Monica is amazing. And what I love about what she said about her experience is that she found her voice. I didn't feel comfortable challenging key stakeholders' ideas, but she found her voice. And I love that. How valuable is that, right? That goes so far beyond money, raising more money. Now I not only speak up, but leaders often follow my lead. How many of you, right, if you feel too timid or afraid or concerned what people will think and asking, right, how much of that bleeds into the rest of your life? I had someone say, I struggle to ask for money because I struggle to ask for anything. I don't ask for help when I need it. I don't like asking. And that has to do with courage, right? So Monica ended up more than 4xing her investment in CourageLab in 1 month because she's just a total badass. So, I'm not saying that that's what will happen to you, but I do believe that there is an inner badass inside of you. So it is possible, but I'm not guaranteeing it. So that is CourageLab. And it's just a 6-week group coaching accelerator. You get weekly support from me, 1-hour group coaching experience. You get lifetime access to my course, which is everything you need to know about raising major gifts. And if today was helpful to you, that course is going to blow your mind. And you get to connect with other leaders like you who are ambitious, who want to raise more. You want to be the best at what you do. And this is for you if you have already raised $75K or more personally, or that's your organization's annual budget minimum, or you've been around for a year. You've been raising money for at least a year. You are ambitious. You acknowledge, first of all, that part of what holds you back is your personal fear. If you're really honest, and that you want to build courage personally, and it will affect your results with fundraising and results in life. And that you are sick of the status quo. You're sick of, frankly, Black, Indigenous, people of color being kept out of greater funding. There is a lack of equity there, right? So I work with a lot of leaders who have been marginalized because I want them to get more access to funding. That is really important to me. So if that sounds like you, this is some of what you're going to learn in CourageLab. You're going to learn how to build a culture of generosity where people are just donating money without you even asking. But when you do ask, you're going to know the timing. You're going to know how to do it. You're going to know how to build relationships. A lot of you are asking a lot of these questions that are really good questions about relationship building. A lot of this is addressed in CourageLab, right? And the special bonus today is that you get a 1-hour one-on-one coaching session with me if you get on the wait list. So the investment for CourageLab is $24.97 or 5 payments of $547. I want to make it as accessible as possible for people. And if you're interested, here are your next steps. So you can get on the wait list. You can schedule your 15-minute discovery chat. And if it's right for you, then sign up. And the next cohort starts May 18th. So let's do questions now. Any questions about CourageLab? Any questions about pitches? Was this helpful to you? What do you think? Put them in the chat. And if you're interested in CourageLab, let us know. I'm interested. I want to learn more. What do you think? What are your questions? And there's no pressure to do this. This is just an opportunity for you. I want to share that with you. Thank you for coming live today. If you sign up for the wait list, you do automatically win that one-on-one coaching session with me. So thank you for being here. There's absolutely no pressure at all. And you can get on the wait list. You can schedule a chat with me. It's 15 minutes. And it's honestly just to evaluate if this is a good fit for you. If it's not, I will suggest, other resources that I know of to help you. It's not for everyone, and that's totally okay. But if you are interested, I'd love to chat, and I'd love to see if it's a good fit for you. Okay, so schedule a no pressure chat with me. It's just about if this is a good fit. I'm so glad that it was helpful. Emily says, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on whether to always send an email or note before making a phone call. Yeah, I don't think you can try it out, see how it works. Everything can be a test or an experiment. So you can test something with a handful of donors and then see how they respond. Yeah, the I will follow up message feels way less scary than just picking up a phone call. If you do not get on the phone ever, then I would suggest that you just get on the phone and have 3 main questions that you're asking people. Like, why did you decide to give last year? What is it that you're most passionate about? What is it about our organization that you love? What would you like to know more about? And then just have a few bullet points, of what you will share, regardless of whether they ask about it or not, right? So this is the impact that you made. I want to tell you a story about George. And here are a few ways you can get involved moving forward. We're doing this event, you're invited. We're doing this volunteer opportunity. You can come to that. You can give, you can whatever, right? If a donor ends up asking you, well, yeah, this sounds amazing, Emily. Like, how can I help? What do you need? Then you need to be ready to say, we need financial support. That's what we need. Right? And Monica and Stefan know that. They know that. We need financial support because the people who give, they can become, certainly volunteers can become donors, right? But the people who give can get more involved after that, right? They can volunteer, they can become an advisory board member, they can do any number of things. Thanks, Maylot. Yeah, so I would have a plan when you get on the phone, and it doesn't have to be asking for an amount to give every time, It shouldn't be. Please don't. Asking is really like 10% of the gig. So And if it's more than that, with one person, with one donor, then it's really lopsided. And that's probably why you feel gross about asking for money. And it's probably why you're not raising enough, because you're not doing the work of building relationships. You're just doing the work of raising money. And those are two different things, right? If you're always asking, that's the kind of relationship that it sucks to be in. Someone who's always asking you for something, nobody wants to be in a relationship like that, not even with a nonprofit. So yeah, any other questions about pitches, questions about CourageLab? You can get on the list at bit.ly/CourageLab. You can learn more on my website, julieordonez.com. Anything else? How can I help you? And schedule a discovery call with me. I'd love to learn if you're a good fit and how I can help you. And if I can't help you, then I'll tell you. Thank you, Emily. Yes, another Zoom meeting. Yay. We all love Zoom, don't we? I'm grateful, but also, it's a lot. Hi, Shauna. Hi, Abby. Hello. Good to see you. Oh, I'm so glad this was helpful. Good. What organization are you with, Anna? Are you a founder or a fundraiser? What is your role? Any other questions or thoughts? What's sticking out to you? Thank you, Abby. I'm so glad. InterVarsity, what's up? Okay. So then you do some fundraising. Yeah. Right on. Oh, thank you, Monica. You're amazing. Appreciate you. Cool. Well, if nobody has any other questions or thoughts, if you're interested, I hope that you'll get on the wait list. There's no pressure. It's just going to be more information for you to learn and see, if this is the right fit for you. Again, it'll start May 18th. And if you thought this was helpful today, then CourageLab is out of this world for you. So I hope that you will use what you learned and raise more money. And I will see you on the interwebs. Thank you, Anna. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, Dana's